Good evening. My name is Evan Plager, and I'm the producer of tonight's program.
Logical Fallacies is an improvised debate show based on a premise created by Alexander Nigro and Martin Gonzalez.
The participants, moderator included, are allowed no preparation regarding the topic or their positions upon it. To maintain the improvisation of the debaters, we present their theses in one take. Everything you see will be completely unscripted and was performed in front of a live audience. As such, the statements made during the program may contain harsh language and other mature sensibilities. And so, in honor of such great debaters as Truffaut, Lincoln, Parmenides, Schirmer, and Peller, I hereby present to you Logical Fallacies.
Do we break for commercial?
Oh, no. We're going live right now. Hello. Welcome to Logical Fallacies. My name is Oscar Velarde, and I am here with two great debaters to discuss a very important topic. As you guys know, the topic of dinosaurs being cloned and reintroduced back into life has come into a lot of people's minds and become a topic of conversation nowadays. Now, most people do not have a problem with this. Recreating dinosaurs is perfectly fine, and even in putting them in zoos has been not an issue for us, but there's been a highly talked about debate of whether or not dinosaurs should be allowed to perform in circuses. Now, with us to debate against dinosaurs in circuses, it is Martha...
the last name was Stewart.
Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart is here to argue against the dinosaurs being included into circuses, and speaking for the dinosaurs is the great Nestor Moreno. Nice to have you today, Nestor.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really terribly sorry about the incident with the car.
Well,
I just wanted to know there were no hard feelings here.
Yeah, I mean, with all the clowns put in there, we did suffer more casualties than your average car accident, but...
It was a tragic event. I believe about 30 clowns died in a two-door car.
It's fine.
I think we should move on.
Absolutely. I believe we should move on to opening statements. So, Martha?
Absolutely. I think there are two very important issues that we want to talk about in terms of dinosaur performances in circuses. One is, of course, the rights of the dinosaurs, and the other is the rights of the other circus performers. I believe bringing dinosaurs into the circus setting violates rights for both of those groups. I think the high number of eviscerations with circus performers is certainly a great danger. And I also think, of course, it's very important to note that dinosaurs should have the same rights as all other animals, and there has been atrocious treatment of dinosaurs in circus settings.
Okay. Would you like to respond to that?
In the entertainment world, you are going to have what to an outsider looks like a violation of the entertainer's rights. Very frequently, especially with the advent of method acting, actors are asked to do things like work for longer than 8-hour shifts without a break, endure, all kinds of embarrassment or humiliation. Any look at a Lars von Trier film will tell you that entertainment requires stepping outside the bounds of traditional, I wouldn't want to say morality, but outside the traditional bounds of what is and is not appropriate for employees. This, too, also goes into the treatment of animals. Sure, after every movie you say no animals were harmed during the making of this film, when in reality, those animals are still very confused whenever they're on set. They're trained with the use of food, which requires minimal amounts of starvation. It's simply the reality of the entertainment world. And furthermore, I think dinosaurs in circuses has been the biggest draw and will be the biggest draw to circuses of the 21st century.
Absolutely.
The appeal of circuses is that they have a very old world sensibility about them, but there's still something very fresh about them. And what could be more old world but fresh at the same time than the resurrection of dinosaurs?
Absolutely. I mean, circuses have been constantly looking to astound the audience with new acts and new attractions. And as you have said, the introduction of dinosaurs into the circus has blown up into the mainstream circus world. I mean, what are your thoughts on all the things that these dinosaurs are doing? I mean, they have T-Rexes juggling.
I'm so glad you brought up that incident.
They're balancing stegosauruses on top of each other. It's fantastic to watch, but...
So I think what I'm really glad that you brought up T-Rexes and the juggling incident. I'm sure we're all familiar with that here in this context. I think the psychological...
Those who have not heard of this incident, why don't you remind
Absolutely. So in a circus in Wichita, there was in fact a T-Rex that killed its handler after being asked to juggle repeatedly, and of course given the physical limitations of the dinosaur, this was not possible for him. And I think we're ignoring here the psychological damage of being asked repeatedly to perform an action that's outside of the physical abilities of that animal, and then to become the brunt of that joke. I don't think anyone could really argue that the T-Rex was at fault there. I think it is within the bounds of an animal to act out when it's treated in that way.
Well, I believe we do have someone here that can argue against that.
The T-Rex, the whole core of the circus is in people doing things that it seems like they should not be able to do. Fitting lots of people in cars, is one example. Juggling, unicycling across tight ropes, everything about it is about transcending our preconceived notions of what is possible. Especially in the old world, our modern sensibilities don't allow for it so much, but, back in the day, what we would call the freak show was an opportunity for people with certain deformities to show crowds of people what they could do. And while these may be activities that most of us take for granted, the reality is it's extremely crowd-pleasing because it is so encouraging to see them pulling off such feats. And what more inspiring thing could you watch in a circus act than to see a T-Rex juggling? T-Rex juggling. It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, are you calling the evolutionary predisposition of T-Rexes a deformity?
No, it's not about it being a deformity. It's about it being something that would incline somebody to think, oh, the T-Rex has arms like this, there's no way they can juggle. Well,
it's a limitation.
It's a limitation that we are then, dispelling or showing you can do anything you want. Even ride a dinosaur, which is most kids' dream, to ride a dinosaur. We are making that dream happen.
Yes, but I think that dream is coming at the cost of young American lives. There have been over 200 dinosaur-related deaths in circus and fair performances where children are being allowed to come next to very dangerous animals. Absolutely. Animals who are being mistreated. So I think it's very important here to remember that it is not simply the danger of the animals, but it's the mistreatment that leads to these deaths by eating.
And that leads into my next question. Actually, as you've mentioned, there has been a lot of instances of deaths within families of people going to take pictures next to these dinosaurs or even riding them. Do you think that letting these circuses take people up to the animals and take pictures with them is ethical and safe?
Absolutely not. I mean, the statistics speak loud and clear. Again, there are violations against, hundreds of Americans who've lost loved ones. And then there's obviously the issue of what is driving these dinosaurs to eat children, and I think that certainly has to do with the psychological mistreatment of them within these environments.
I personally think that is absolutely fundamentally not true. I mean, these families, they know the risks. When you go to a NASCAR show, they make you sign a waiver saying if a car smashes into you, they're free from liability. People come to these shows knowing the risks, and without the risks, people would not be showing up. The risk of being eaten by a dinosaur is part and parcel to the whole circus experience. It's integral that we, it may sound harsh, but frankly, if a dinosaur should be eating a child every once in a while, this is what keeps the fantasy real, which is a contradiction in terms, but it really is how I feel. And as for the as for why the dinosaurs are driven to eat people, well, at the risk of stating the obvious, well, they are dinosaurs.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I believe, I'm sorry, but we must move on to the next question because it is a highly controversial one. The recent addition of pterodactyls into acrobatic acts has been a very controversial statement because this is the first time including flying dinosaurs into a circus act, and they are flying above the person and circling around them while acrobats do tricks in the talons. It's quite a spectacle to see, but it has caused a lot of controversy in there, and I would like to start with you, sir.
I believe what you're referring to is, of course, the Ptero-Trapeze Act.
Absolutely,
Which
yes.
even my own circus, the Circus Moreno, engages in. And truly, I think this is a fantastic use of these animals as props as well as performers in their own right. One can't help but think of the Flintstones when one watches this sort of feat being performed.
Absolutely.
And in fact, this is why we have even paid homage to that in naming our two pterodactyls we have in this act, Yabba and Dabba.
Because they do.
Because they do. Watch Yabba and Dabba do. Is in fact something, the tagline for the act.
It's a brilliant tagline.
I think it's truly a showcase of both science and nature and physics and even a little bit of religion all coming together in a very lovely way.
That's beautiful arguments. Would you like to respond?
Well, I understand that perhaps these performers have the ability to take their lives into their own hands. But I again want to point out that 24% of dinosaur-related deaths were in children under 10 years of age. These children simply don't have the ability to decide for themselves, and I don't think it's fair that we are allowing parents and performers to bring children into these situations. I think we're seeing a question from the audience now.
Oh, yes, I was just about to go into that. So, question. Yes, sir. Right here up front.
So I just saw an advertisement on Cirque du Soleil's website for their new show Cretaceous, which where, as we know, we have the ability to bring clone dinosaurs. They are splicing dinosaurs in order to create a Cretaceous freak show as their theme. Can you speak to this as to whether animal splicing for entertainment purposes is ethical in a circus setting?
I believe our circus expert can definitely.
I personally do not believe in the actions of the Cretaceous splicing. I'm personally a classical freak show connoisseur in that we are only interested in exploiting naturally occurring deformities, and artificial ones simply defeat the purpose in my mind.
Well, I do believe that Cretaceous from Cirque is a new concept on the circus. It's a very experimental.
It is very experimental, and I encourage experimentation within the circus performance, but I think if we should strictly refer to the classic and tested methods of simply breeding dinosaurs to look funny as opposed to actual gene splicing.
I think gene splicing is obviously a very big part of our scientific community now. I'm as big a fan of bacon corn as the next person. But I think we do want to draw a line where that splicing starts to have a psychological impact. This is perhaps one of the only places in which we can agree. I think this is an even further violation of dinosaur rights.
Absolutely. I believe we have more questions, but yes, sir. Right
Hello,
here. Right.
I am bear trainer. My favorite bear, Bobo, was eaten by a raptor I was asked to train by Ringmaster. I have problem with this. Care to address?
Sir, would you like to help this man out with his raptor problem?
I
seems to have issues.
May I ask, sir? I mean, you don't have to divulge, but which circus were you employed with?
Cirque de Roscotos.
Cirque de Roscotos. Okay. Well, I haven't personally worked with Mr. Roscotos, but I would advise him and any other ringmasters who are new to the dinosaur game to please ensure that the dinosaurs are fed and that the cubs of both the dinosaurs and other animals like bears are raised together as children so that they might form a psychological bond and do not view one another as prey.
Absolutely. I believe we have one more question in the back.
I would like to provide a resource I'm sorry, your name again, sir?
My name is not important.
Well, I completely understand that you would want to remain anonymous. We do have a website which we have started for the reporting of dinosaur-related incidents for within the circus community. So please visit our website. That's, again, Dinosaur Be Gone. And we are, again, working to release dinosaurs back into their wild habitats. And it would be wonderful to have support from within the circus community with tragic incidents like Bobo.
Thank you, Martha.
That was an excellent question. One last question in the back. Young lady, if you please.
Hi, my husband works with Circus Waste Management, and his workload has completely quadrupled since dinosaurs have been introduced into the circus realm. Here you are talking about rights, but what about the rights of those who clean up after circus quote-unquote animal waste? What happens with them? Why hasn't there been more technology to help them with their workload?
You're going to see these sorts of shifting of the tides anytime there's a major change in the way things are run. But I frankly think that you personally should be very excited that your husband is in this business, because dinosaur and circus waste management is going to see the biggest boom it has ever seen. And I think while you're frustrated now, I think now that your husband is already entrenched in the system, you two are in for some very happy and poop-filled times.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. No, I think entrenched was definitely the word that was there. Once again, this woman brings to light a point that no one is benefiting from dinosaurs in the circus.
And on that note, we would like to conclude with our closing statements. And since we started with you, Martha, I believe it'd be best to start with you again.
I think I've made my points as clearly as I can. Whether it's the dinosaur that is forced into public humiliation every week due to his natural evolutionary design, or the small child who is brutally eaten at a show that he might or might not have even wanted to attend, or even the underappreciated man who's forced to clean up after this absolutely atrocious mess. Absolutely. We need to get dinosaurs out of circuses and back into natural habitats where they belong.
Absolutely. And your closing arguments.
If it were not for circuses such as my own, or Mr. Roscoto, or any other circus you might imagine, we would not have dinosaurs here today. The money that it takes to reproduce a dinosaur using the technology we have today requires a vast investment of capital that can only come from somebody who is able to make some sort of profit. Zoos, sure. Petting zoos, not as much. Circuses, this is where the dinosaurs are coming from. And if you want there to ever be stable populations of dinosaurs in the wild, you are going to have to let us do our business. And
absolutely,
despite the eating of children or whatever other complaints you might come up with, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, today, do you want dinosaurs roaming our streets? If you do, please come to the circus. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a great message, and thank you very much. And that was Illogical Fallacies. Good night.
And so concludes our discussion for the evening. We hope that all of you enjoyed yourselves and perhaps even learned something tonight. I certainly know I did. From all of us here at Logical Fallacies, I'm Evan Plager. Thank you and good night.
Logical Fallacies is a production of Penny Farthing Entertainment. If you have questions or comments about the topic or for tonight's participants, please let us know in the comment section for this video, and they might be addressed in our viewer response segment. Be sure to like, favorite, and share this video, as well as subscribe to Logical Fallacies. Programs by Penny Farthing Entertainment are made possible by viewers like you.